Imagine waking up to an email that says your password has been hacked. What do you do when that happens? Now, every 29 seconds, a hacker tends to attack somewhere on the web. So what happens when they do succeed? These are not movie plots, they are real incidents. And every organization needs a plan to respond to. This is where incident response comes in. Hello, my name is Sean Ikolori, a cybersecurity expert. And today's session, I'm going to be taking you through the path of incident response, what you should do, and how you should get it done.
So by the end of this session, you should be able to explain what data protection is, enumerate the types of encryption, discuss on authentication and authorization in cybersecurity, tell us what breach is, and enumerate some of the preventive measures. Then you define incident response, and you should be able to also explain the full phase of the NIST Incident Response Lifecycle. And finally, highlight basic incident containment strategy. So data breach is the unauthorized exposure, disclosure, and theft of data. An example of this is one's personal information or your PII, or probably your organization's data. Now, an example of your PII, like your BVN, your NIN, your social security number, bank details, or your health records. Whereas for an organization's data, we could be talking about your trade secret, financial information, customer record, amongst others. Now, it's very important for us to note that not every cyber attack is a data breach. For instance, a DDoS attack just overwhelms a website or it disrupts the activity of the website, but it doesn't expose data. However, a ransomware attack will log and threaten to even leak your data to the world, right? That's an example of data breach. Some of the causes of data breaches include exploiting vulnerabilities, which typically involves an attacker exploiting software flaws to gain access. Another is social engineering, where an individual restricts to reveal login credentials. Next, we have this insider threat, where an employee or a contractor deliberately or intentionally or probably accidentally leaks the data for an organization. And next, we have lost or stolen devices. Here, this is when an individual device, say the phone, USB drive, or laptop, gets missing or stolen. Probably those things are not encrypted. So of course, when it gets in wrong hand, it can lead to data breach. Then finally, we have weak security practice. Of course, it involves poor password management, outdated systems, or probably lack of encryption. I would like to categorize the impact of data breach into three. The first is individual. Here, it can include identity theft, reputational damage, financial fraud. The business level or business category, it can include regulatory fines, loss of customer trust, financial loss, then lawsuits, amongst others. Then at the government level, it can include espionage, political repression, or exposure of classified information. Some of the preventive strategies include using strong authentication, like multi-factor authentication, then encryption, which is protecting sensitive data at rest or in transit, then regularly updating your softwares or firmware. The next is employee training. You should teach your staff and also yourself to recognize phishing attempts. Then incident response plan. You should have a clear step for containment and notification in case of an incident. Data breach containment is that specific stop it from spreading right now action you take during the process, such as isolating infected machines, disabling compromised accounts, or blocking malicious traffic, just to limit further damage while the rest of the process or response continues.
So we have seen the breaches, right? Now the next is, how do we protect our data? But before we go on to how we protect our data, we have to know what data protection really is. So data protection is basically the method and the controls used to prevent unauthorized access, disclosure, alteration, or destruction of data. It applies to data at rest, or it could even be data in transit, which is data that are moving across the network, or even data in use, data that are being processed by an application. So it's critical to note that encryption is one of the most important tools used to achieve data protection. So the thing now is, what is encryption? In our earlier video, we've actually talked about encryption, and you can see it here. So let's just go over it again. Encryption is simply the process of converting readable data, which is your plain text, like your ABC123, into unreadable form, which we call the ciphertext. And we achieve this by using a mathematical algorithm and a key, such that only the authorized individual with the correct key can decrypt and access the original data. Now, there are two types of encryption, which we call symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. So here is a table that shows the comparison between the types of encryption. Imagine you have a wooden box in your shop in a very popular local market. Maybe you sell tomatoes. Let's pick that as a typical example, right? You sell tomatoes in, say, Mile 12 or Alaba International Market or wherever, just a local market. Now, you have that small wooden box which can be locked and unlocked with just a single key, right? Because you have to keep your money safe, right? Now, if you want your child, maybe your daughter, to help you or assist you in your absence, you have to give her the key, right? That is called symmetric encryption. It's one key to lock and unlock your safe or your box, right? Your wooden box. Now, but the problem here is, if somebody gets hold of that key, all the money is gone, or any money sold by your daughter that day is gone, or you is gone. Now, for asymmetric encryption, this is like, imagine the same situation, but this time around you have two keys. One key is to lock, the other key, a different key, is to open. So in this special case, you give everybody a padlock, whether it's your neighbor on the market, you need them to help you sell. You hold one padlock, or you have the key to open the two padlock, but you open one, your own, give them their padlock, and let them lock it whenever they're done, right? So everybody have their padlocks, right? But you have the key to lock and unlock everything. So here, everybody can send you a message, for instance, or it's only you that have the ability to open it. That's what you see, like your WhatsApp message, your banking apps, and so on, right? You are the only one that have access to that. So that is asymmetric encryption. So it's using two keys. One of the key is a public key, anybody could have it. The other one is a private key, which is kept by you. Now, why this is powerful is that if the whole market have their own padlock, nobody can open your own box, right? Your neighbor has a market, your daughter have their own padlock. When they are done, they padlock it, and you are the only one that have access to it, right? That is asymmetric. Now, let's delve in now. For symmetric encryption, you just use the same key to lock and unlock, while asymmetric uses two different keys: the public key, which everybody knows, shared openly, and the private key, which only you have. So the data is encrypted with one and unlocked with the other. So for symmetric is actually fast and efficient. It's stable for a large amount of data transfer. So you use it when there's a lot of data involved, because it's very quick or fast, right? It requires secure key sharing. That is the most important thing. You must ensure that your key transfer is very secure. That's when symmetric is going to be beautiful to employ. Now, for asymmetric is slower than symmetric encryption. It solves the problem of key distribution, right, and also enhances identity verification. Then a common use case is asymmetric encryption is used for encrypting files and data, like I said earlier. Then for data backup, securing data in transit after a secure session is established, which means when you trust each other, you can now say, okay, yes, let's be talking, right? And this is employed by like a WhatsApp, Telegram. That's what happens, or your browsing session. Now for asymmetric encryption, it's used to secure data over the internet, right, where key transfer is required. So an example of this is your AES, which is your advanced encryption system. That is a symmetric encryption, whereas for asymmetric you need the RSA, which is the reverse schema and adamant, and also the ECC, which is the elliptic curve encryption. Asymmetric encryption is used to securely exchange symmetric keys, after which symmetric encryption handles the bulk of the data transfer. That's, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that when two computers already trust each other, they may use symmetric encryption because it's fast and it has the ability to handle large data. Authentication and authorization. Now, authentication is the process of verifying the identity of a user, a device, or even a system. It basically answers the question of who are you. So the common authentication method includes passwords, digital certificates, your key authentication, whether it's public or private, then multi-factor authentication. Now, the role of symmetric encryption here in authentication is it's used in digital certificates. It enables high secure login without sending a password in plain text. Then it also supports secure identity verification in say systems like HTTP and SSH. Well, authorization determines what resources an authenticated user can access and what action they can perform. It basically answers the question of what are you allowed to do. The other key principle here is the least privilege, which says a user can only get what they need. Then the other is the role-based access control, which is based on their position. They can access XYZ features or XYZ things. Now, it's very important for us to note that authentication happens before authorization. Please do take note of that. It happens before authorization.
Passwords remains one of the most common authentication methods. However, when you store password in plain text, it's very insecure, which is the reason why cryptographic hashing becomes essential. So, what is cryptographic hashing?
So, a cryptographic hashing is a way of turning any information, no matter the size, into a fixed size code that cannot be reversed back to its original information. Let me just give you a typical example. Imagine you're this entrepreneur who does the business of Gary, and you just set it up right now. For this mix of a Gary, say you have 2 cups of Gary plus 1 cup of sugar plus say milk and say sugar. Now, and then you grind everything together. That's what your mixture, your Gary mix is all about. You grind everything together and you sell it up, right? You make quite some good money from it, right? So, well, here's the thing. Once you grind it, you cannot separate the parts. Why? Because they are all one fine powder mixture, right? A clean mixture. You can't go back. So what this implies is that whenever you or any other person tries to make 2 cups of Gary, 1 cup of granite, a little sugar and milk, they will get the same result. They will get the same hash value. That's what it means, right? That's what hashing is. Anytime you put that input, you will get that same result. So that is hashing. It's very important for you to note that hashing is not encryption. Encryption is you can lock it and then you can unlock it as well. But hashing, you cannot unlock it. It's just a one-way thing. You can't go back. That's the major difference. So a cryptographic hash function simply converts that input data into a fixed length output. All right. And that fixed length output, we call that the hash value. Remember, I said it's not encryption. So the key property here is that, or the important thing you need to note about a cryptographic hashing is that it's a one-way thing, that it cannot be reversed. You can't go back. When you impute the same value, you always get the same hash every time. Anywhere around the world, you get the same hash. Then any alteration or any small input change will produce a very totally different output. So if you have a sentence that doesn't end with a full stop, even though your eye might not catch it when you read the plain text, and somebody has another one and put a full stop in that sentence, you will get an entirely different hash, different from the first one. So not just a value that will appear at the end of the hash. I mean a totally different hash that when you look at it, you think it's 2 different things, 2 different statements. But just because of that full stop, it altered everything. So that's what cryptographic hashing is all about. Encryption is reversible. Why? Because it has a lock-in and unlocking. You can go back. But hashing, you cannot go back. It's irreversible. So for encryption, you use key. It could be a single key. It could be 2 keys. That is your public and private keys. But for hashing, there's nothing like decryption key. You cannot unlock it because it's irreversible. Therefore, encryption, its basic function is to protect confidentiality, right? So nobody can just gain access to it. That is what it is. But for hashing, you protect integrity, so nobody alters the data. So instead of storing passwords on systems tend to store the hashed version of passwords, such that during login or at the point where you're trying to log in, the password you entered is actually hashed, and it is compared with the stored version of your hash. So if it's not, if it doesn't correspond, it will say wrong password. But if when you input a password it is hashed, then that hash is then compared with the stored version of a hash. You say, okay, yes, they are the same thing. Then to open. All right, not like you can take the hash and reverse it and say, let me see, waiting this word, this or this yama thing. What does it mean? You convert it to plain text. No, it's not going to be possible because hashing doesn't allow. The benefit here is that it protects users' credentials. So even if database is being breached or is compromised, it protects the credentials of individuals, and also prevents attackers from accessing original passwords that are saved on systems. Right? How this is done is by enhancement, like your sorting. Sorting is like saying when you add random data before you now hash. So like you want to hash I am fine, then you now say I am plus fine. Right? Before you hash, you just put something just to mess it up, so it will appear weird. So that is like sorting. All right. Then the next is iterative hashing, which is to slow down brute forcing attack. Right? So what is iterative hashing is like, say you beat person. All right, a beat person finish, you won't container sorry, you see they beat and they say, oh sorry. So after it has hash, it's hashing again. So when you try to brute force, you have to do it hash the hash. Okay, that's weird. Okay, but that's basically how it's employed or applied in password management, because hashing helps me verify the integrity of a file. It detects unauthorized changes in a document. If the data of the hash changes, it implies that the data is altered, which means somebody don't touch them. It has been tampered with. Simple. So you just basically preserve the integrity of the data. So all these are what enhances the foundation of system and data security, from encryption to authentication, the authorization, and then cryptographic hashing.
So what is incident response? This is the organized and end-to-end process an organization follow to prepare for, identify, contain, eradicate, recover, and finally learn from any cyber security event that could possibly harm the people, the systems, or even their data. There are a number of incident response lifecycle out there, but we're particularly interested in NIST because it has proven itself to be an industrial standard worldwide. Well, the NIST is the National Institute for Standard and Technology. Its incident response lifecycle is the structured framework for handling cybersecurity events. In one of its special publications, or Computer Security Incident Handling Guideline, it provides a systematic based approach to preparing for, detecting, analyzing, and recovering from any security incident there is. The goal of this NIST incident recovery lifecycle is to minimize damage, reduce recovery time and cost, and improve security posture by learning from past events. Now, the lifecycle consists of 4 main phases, which are cyclical, which means that the lesson learned from one incident feeds back into the preparation for the next. Now, this process or this phase includes preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication, recovery, and finally post-incident activity. So we're going to be delving into each of these phases one after the other. First is preparation. This is the foundational phase. The goal here is to establish the capability and tools before an incident happens. Well, a well-prepared organization can respond more effectively and more efficiently. So the key activity or what will be done within this phase is 1, developing an IR plan, which is the incident response plan. Here you create a formal written document that outlines the goals, procedures, and the rules of the incident response. Next is forming a computer security incident response team with clearly defined roles and responsibility, and acquiring tools and resources. Here you typically procure the necessary technologies like the forensic softwares, the backup system, and the secure communication tools. Next is training and awareness, where typically you conduct regular training for all the IR team, and general security awareness for all employees. Finally, setting up communication channels. Here you define how the team will communicate internally and externally, like management, the law enforcement, PR during this crisis. Next phase, which is detection and analysis, involves identifying that an incident is occurring, and here you determine its scope and its impact. In this phase, the key activity that will be carried out here involves monitoring and alerting, which implies that you continuously monitor the network and the system for signs of anomalies or known IOCs, which is indicators of compromise. Triage and prioritization. Here you evaluate the alerts and determine which are false positive and which are real incidents. The incidents are, however, prioritized based on their potential impact from low to critical. Next is investigation and analysis. Here you gather evidence, analyze data from the log, the malware, the network traffic, and then determine the root cause of the incident. You also check its entry point and the scope of the compromise. Finally, in this phase, we have documentation, which involves meticulously documenting every step and piece of evidence for potential legal proceedings and the post-incident review. Containment, eradication, and recovery phase. Well, this is the action phase where the organization works to stop the incident, remove the threats, and recover systems to normal operation. Now, at this point, the activity here will be, let's start with containment. For the containment is where the breach is being contained. It is that stop it from spreading right now. Is the action you take at the immediate to limit further damage while the rest of the process is going on. So it could be short-term containment, which is isolating affected network segments, take critical systems offline, or blocking malicious IP addresses, or probably could be long-term containment that involves removing compromised systems for forensic analysis while allowing clean systems to resume their business operation. Eradication, which is removing the root cause of the incident from the environment. This includes deleting the malware, disabling breach user account, identifying and patching vulnerability that were exploited. And finally, we have recovery, which is restoring systems and operation to the previous good state from clean backup, applying patches, and verifying that systems are functioning normally and are no longer compromised. The post-incident activity, that's your learned experience. The purpose is to improve future response efforts. So what we do here is to conduct a lesson learned meeting where you hold a meeting with all the involved parties to discuss what happened, what was done well, and what could be improved upon. Creating a final report, which involves writing a comprehensive report detailing the incident timeline, the impact, the root cause, and the response actions, and finally lesson learned. Next is updating the IR plans and procedures. Here you refine the IR plan, the playbook, and the policies based on the lesson you've learned from the incident. Finally, in this phase is implementing proactive measures. Now, here you use the findings to strengthen overall security, like deploying new security controls, improving monitoring, and enhancing employees' training. Here we have Incident Response Lifecycle in plain English. So first is preparation, which is just
You pick your IR team, then you train them. It's like getting ready for trouble before it even comes. And the next is detection and analysis, which is where you watch the logs for suspicious activities. You analyze the alerts, and determine the scope of the severity. Yes, like checking for the smoke. Is this smoke that is this or on a fire? Okay. Then the next is containment. In containment, you isolate infected machines by pulling the cable, shutting the whole system down immediately just to stop it from jumping to another system or entering the next device. So then eradication and recovery. Here you have removed the root cause of the incident, you patch loophole, you change password, you restore affected systems and data from the backup. And this is like putting out the fire and then rebuilding your room again and painting it, doing like nothing don't happen. Then finally, you have post-incident activity, where you write a simple report. What happened? When did it happen? How? Why? You analyze the incident to identify the lesson learned and the area that needs improvement. You can see essentially that the breach containment strategy is an emergency drill that repeats every time something bad happens. So it should just come in and not be a one-off. Now, based on the severity of whatsoever incident is identified, we have a severity rating scale. This severity rating is just a stoplight method to determine which of the incident needs an immediate action or a routine monitoring, with 5 on the severity being the highest and the likelihood 5 being the highest as well. So if we look at this severity against the likelihood, taking on 1 on both sides, we will discover the impact is nothing. All right, so something is less severe and the likelihood of that thing that's less to happen is nothing. So the impact is nothing. Let's pick the likelihood of 5. That's how sure are you that this thing is going to happen. If you say yes, it's definitely going to happen, then you now take on the severity. Okay, it's going to happen. Then what is the severity of this thing? You say it's very high. Then we know, yes, the impact is going to be disastrous. So, and you multiply that, it gives you 25. So if it's 25, it's simply telling us that we need to act on it immediately. So it's very, very high. So some of the strategies to contain breaches include network isolation, which typically involves shutting off the ports or disabling the system involved such that it doesn't talk to any other system in the network. Then the next is account lockdown, which also involves disconnecting the compromised system or account in question. And next is segmentation or microsegmentation, which involves using VLAN and also software-defined parameters so that the attackers cannot even move laterally on the system. It's like putting fire doors between offices such that the fire doesn't get to the next office. Then next is zero trust rules, where the least privilege is assigned to a particular user such that a user can only use what he or she truly needs. Then the next is the security orchestration, automation, and response tool. The SOAR tool triggers containment steps in split seconds. Example, like blocking an IP address across all firewalls automatically. So it's more like an autopilot thing. Then finally is the honeypot. So the honeypot is creating a fake server or file such that if an attacker touches it or wants to meddle with it, it triggers immediately and the source is isolated instantly. These are some of the steps to contain breaches. So in all, just remember your containment strategy is essentially segmenting of your network so that peradventure an attacker enters your company's network, it doesn't just move freely from one system to another or move laterally on the network. Then account lockout and password resets, ensure that you change your password, reset your password immediately. Then isolate infected machines or systems. Then finally, you preserve evidence for
legal proceedings. So here is a sample of an incident report template. Just tells you what happened, which you're going to see there, as you can see on the screen, the incident metadata, the affected assets, the timeline of key events, then the root cause and attack vector, then the impact assessment that's based on the confidentiality, integrity, availability, then containment and eradication action taken, your evidence, your lesson learned, then your communication log, and sign up. So let's look at a sample which I filled. So here is the incident report for an XXX company that I made. It tells us what happened. You see ransomware infected a PC, Lab 3, and it had a display or ransom note which says decrypt instruction, the text, where you have to pay a certain amount to unlock your system. The containment status you can see, and the business impact, you can see 12 lab users lost the access to project data, but no revenue system was affected. Then you can see the incident metadata. You can also see the severity, the priority, the analyst on duty, and the status. See the affected asset as well. The owner of this system is the manager, and criticality is high. So the timeline of the key events, then the root cause, and also the attack vector, which tells us everything about the vector as it is. Is it the human error thing? Did they escalate privilege? And so on and so forth. Then the impact assessment based on the confidentiality, integrity, availability. Then the containment and eradication action taken. See the evidence and the artifact, and the lesson learned and corrective action. Then finally the communication log, what the mode of communication. Then finally you signed up. So basically this is what you just need to know about the incident reporting template.
So we come to end with this wrap up. We started by talking about a breach, when we said a breach is the unauthorized exposure, disclosure, or theft of data. We also saw that the system and data security relies on multiple complementary systems like encryption, which ensures confidentiality, authentication, and authorization. We manage its access, and cryptographic hashing. We protect password and data integrity. We also learned that according to NIST Incident Response Lifecycle, we saw that responding to an incident involves preparation, detection, authentication, then containment, and finally you learn from that phase. We also saw that containment is the critical phase, and it is the stop it from spreading step you take inside your containment plan. And we also learned that good preparation implies that you have an up-to-date asset list, you train your employee, and you test your playbook. Then it is what takes you from detection to containment in minutes instead of days. We also looked at using the stoplight method to determine the severity rating of an incident, where the red indicates you need immediate action, the yellow indicates the investigation stage, and routine monitoring for the green. So we saw that containment strategy include segmentation of your network, then account lockout or password resets, which involve resetting your password. Then we saw isolating of infected systems, and also preserve evidence as well. So with that, we go to our question section. The question for this session goes: 1. What do you understand by data protection? What are the types of encryption? What is authentication and authorization in cybersecurity? What do you understand by data breach? Can you mention 3 causes of data breaches? Define incident responses and explain 4 phases of NIST Incident Response Lifecycle. Highlight the basic incident containment strategies. And finally, what company has the largest data breach in history? Was it Yahoo, Facebook, or Equifax? Until we see again in our next session, where we'll be exploring how we can take our businesses on a date with the law by aligning with governance, risk management, and compliance.
Stay safe, stay smart, stay sharp. And remember, hackers don't wear hood in the dark. You might just be eating this in some restaurant while perpetrating an attack.
Or probably Isiwu with a cold bottle of yogurt or a glass of cold palm wine. Until next time.